Hello and welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. We're delighted to have with us one of the most powerful and respected Republican women in Washington, former Secretary of Labor Elaine Chao. And Secretary Chao, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
The latest Wall Street Journal NBC poll shows President Obama's approval numbers seriously underwater, with only 45% of voters happy with his performance. Now, in a speech at Knox College yesterday, the president blamed Washington, saying it had, quote, taken its eye off the ball, unquote. Is running against Washington a viable strategy for a president now 5 years into his administration?
You know, it is the height of irony for President Obama to be running against Washington. He is Washington. His administration is in charge. In fact, the Democrats have been in charge through the Senate, the House, and the White House from 2008 to 2010, by which we saw a very socialist government in place. And they are the ones who are making the policies, the economic policies, which have made our economy worse. They've spent too much, taxed too much, regulated too much. And that is why our economy is coming out so slowly from the recession. Generally, when the recession is deep, the deeper the recession, the stronger and quicker the comeback, the recovery. And that's just not happening because of the policies by this administration. So again, it's just the height of irony that the president would run against Washington when he is Washington.
Now, several leading Republicans have said they will not raise the debt ceiling unless they get spending cuts from Democrats and the president in return. Should Republicans allow a partial government shutdown if that's what it takes to rein in spending?
I think most people would like their government to function in an effective and efficient way. The days where automatic increases in the debt ceiling without questioning the role of government, how effective it has been, and why it has spent the money that it has, those days are gone. So with every discussion of the increase in the debt ceiling and why it is necessary, there will be some serious talk about whether the government has spent too much and how in the future the government can harness and reduce its own spending.
Secretary Chao, how much of what the president is doing right now, canvassing the country to talk about the economy, is really about trying to improve Democrats' prospects for the 2014 midterms, in your view?
The president's speeches all around the country are in selected states with the sole purpose of influencing politics. The president is engaged in politics at a time when our economy needs real leadership. Obamacare, Dodd-Frank, all these new rules and regulations yet to be written have just suffocated our economy. And a lot of employers are reluctant to hire more people because they're uncertain about the future. They don't know how high their taxes will be. They don't know what new government regulations will be coming down the pike that would impact their business. And so most employers are sitting tight. We've had one of the most lackluster economic conditions ever, with our GDP about 1.6%. That is very low. And as you well know, our unemployment rate is 7.6%. Now, last month, the media, most of which are liberal, made a big deal saying that, 195,000 net new jobs have been created. But our country needs to produce 250,000 net new jobs every month just to keep even with population growth. You factor in also that part-time workers have increased. That means a lot of employers are actually turning back full-time workers and making them into part-time in anticipation of the Health Care Act. So the net new jobs, full-time new jobs created is still not as strong as all of us would like.
There's talk that the left would be happy if Obamacare flops because they will then simply ratchet up calls for single payer, essentially extending Medicare and Medicaid to all Americans. But what specific alternatives do Republicans have to offer other than tort reform, perhaps, to the reform plans that Democrats will put forward?
Well, first of all, I would hope that Democrats don't think like that, although I think they would. But I would hope that they don't because it hurts the country. It hurts the quality of affordable health care. It hurts ordinary men and women who are working very hard and those, who are relying upon affordable, quality health care for themselves and their families. We have one of the best health care systems in the world. Let's not ruin it. The second issue as to what the Republicans would advocate. But number one, if we did not have Obamacare, we could have addressed the health care crisis in a comprehensive but segmented fashion, meaning that we could have promoted health savings plans. We could have pushed for tort reform, which has added so much more cost to health care. We could have also promoted association health care plans, whereby small groups and small businesses, nonprofits, can come together, pool their risk, and form voluntary associations, thereby decreasing their health care. Obamacare, is going to increase our cost. It's not going to, as the president promised, allow us to keep the provider that we wanted, nor the doctor that we want. All of which the president has promised, are simply not going to come true. So we're in a very, very tough situation right now, and I think we have to think about repeal. We have to think about reform, and then repeal of the Health Care Act.
Last question for you, Secretary Chao. Your husband, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, is up for re-election. There's thinking that Democrats are going to attack your husband on women's issues. Yet, as pointed out by the New York Times today, your husband has a very good record among women and has a number of women on his staff in key and powerful positions. Do you think this is going to be a problem?
I really don't. My husband has an outstanding record in promoting opportunities for women, in the women that he surrounds himself and his staff, in the women that he has promoted throughout his career. He's a father of 3 daughters. He's obviously a husband who's been very supportive of a very active wife with her own career. So I think all these, in a campaign, lots of things will be said. And what they have said about my husband is just simply not true.
All right. Former Secretary of Labor Elaine Chao, as always, great to have you with us on Newsmax TV.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.